A pleasure to meet all at last, and here we are with more of this little thing regarding pet animals. So this is 2736. Quite a big number that we have to deal with here. Also, kind of unique that we have ourselves another little locomotive reference. Yeah, I feel like it's going to be a tradition. In the community tab, I'm sure there's going to be screenshots of whatever videos I make with the numbers matching up with ID numbers of various locomotives and such. Perhaps keep a lookout for that stuff. There's a lot of unique matches you'll find. Anyways, though, today's subject is going to be focusing on the likes of the birds. Yeah, the avian family that are often known as pets. But more specifically, for the sake of this episode, we'll just simply call it parrots. After all, if there's one species of bird that is commonly known to be kept around as pets, there's a lot of them out there. The cockatoo, the finch, and the cardinal sometimes can also be kept around as pets, but are more often to be spotted in the wild. But as we probably know, we know about the parrots being the most common type of bird kept around as a pet. So we'll just go on ahead and talk about the parrots, because there's a lot to be said about them. The parrots, as you probably know, are unique because of various things. They have a unique set of beaks, which are curved like this. They have some unique color patterns, often with the males having the more unique color patterns in order to attract females. They also have unique talons that allow for them to grip onto whatever surfaces they can, including your own hands if you ever wanted to keep a hold of one. Although some people would recommend getting a hold of those perches that hawk handlers would have, or eagle handlers. After all, larger birds, larger flying creatures of all sorts. Hawks, vultures, toucans, eagles, etc. There's often a little perching attachment, a sleeve that someone can wear so that the talons don't penetrate through and end up causing somebody to get injured. So, while that's basically a thing I can mention here, another thing I will mention, and probably the most unique thing about the parrot, is the fact that they can actually communicate in a very humanoid way. While some people might have debates or some controversial statements about whether or not this is actually a true thing, one thing's for certain. It's a recurring real-life gag, not just made possible by the many people who make movies, TV shows, etc., but just the fact that the parrots are actually able to mimic one's own voice is already pretty hilarious. And I kid you not, I've had experiences over the years in which I visited my local pet shop, and I used to go there alone with my friends. And we would just go in and see the parrots, and I kid you not, we would have them cuss out at us, and it was hilarious. Yeah. The parrot's name was Dean, in case you wanted to know. He was looking for a new home because he once had an abusive owner not far from Pewaukee. Why he was brought all the way to Menominee Falls, who really knows? I guess they wanted to get him as far away from that guy as possible, because I hear he was really bad with pets. Yeah. I sure hope he has a lot of years behind bars. Anyways, though, while we do know a lot of stuff about parrots, I'm once again going to tell you about this, that I am no expert on the parrot in general. So don't consider me as someone who could talk about the parrots as a whole without actually having to look something up about it. I at least do know a lot of the basic stuff about them. I know that they've existed for a long, long time, and I know that they have been made popular in most forms of media. I do know that some movies, Rio, Home Alone, and Sleepaway Camp, for instance, at least had one particular scene to do with the likes of parrots, or with birds as a whole. And I know I could talk more about birds because there's a lot of them to choose from other than the parrots, such as the previously mentioned finch, cockatoo, and otherwise, but let's be real here. It's a bit more on the complex side if I were just gonna talk about birds as a whole here. I just wanted to talk a bit about one of the bird types as a whole here, because there's already a lot worth talking about with one species. And don't get me started on some other species out there in birds that sometimes are out of the leagues, like owls. I know some people might keep owls around, in which they're known as nocturnal creatures. They don't exactly take naps during the nightfall like most people do, And while it's true that the growing number of people whom are awake during the nightfall are becoming more present. I kid you not, my sister-in-law is a full-time nurse. 15 hours a day she works in Naperville. And she does one heck of a job keeping the people alive, whether in the city of Chicago or otherwise. But other than that, the correlation between human and bird-related time scheduling matters not in this instance, because all I really wanted to do here was just to talk about one specific type of bird, so that way I can get the whole avian side of the pet category in my life figured out and evaluated for this series. Okay, so that's the end of that part. Yeah, not very large or ambitious as I would have hoped for, because with most of the other episodes I've talked about some of my own experiences, and here I had some similar, but I never owned or even worked with a parrot. So how could I possibly talk more about the parrot when I don't have as much knowledge as the average person might have if they were to work with one of them? Well, I guess here in the future I could start doing that, but not much use in doing so right now, because I'm making this video, and so that's just it. But the good news is that there still are a few more subjects worth talking about regarding pet animals, and that's what I'm going to be doing for the rest of this time. So if you want to see more, go down on my channel, make sure to like, subscribe, comment, follow me wherever you can find me, and stay on the Hollywood side.